Getting your driving license has always been one of those things that most people want to do at some point in their life. I mean, who wouldn't want to have the freedom of being able to drive where they want, when they want, with who they want? For me, that desire was no different, and I wanted my driving license as soon as possible. But why did nobody ever tell me how much of a hassle it is to get one of these things? If I'd have known the process was like this before, I'd happily take being a passenger princess any day. But before I could even speak about getting a license, I had to learn how to drive first. And even before that, I needed to pass my driving theory exam to show how I wouldn't act like a complete rookie on the roads. So I took my theory exam, passed it first time, my bro. I mean, they might as well forget the actual driving test and just give me my license now at this point. Well, at least that's how I was feeling. I was so gassed because I received my theory pass test certificate, meaning I had just taken the first major step to getting my license. Little did I know that from that point on, there would be a pretty bumpy road ahead of me, and that pun was intended. My first ever driving instructor was this lady, and me even labeling her as a driving instructor is very generous. It's because I was expecting her to instruct, but all she did was obstruct. I've never experienced an instructor so bad at teaching things in my life. Oh, it's getting me mad just think about it. Let me break it down for you. So when you do lessons with an instructor, they'll usually have their own pedals in the passenger seat, meaning they can control the car as well. You know, if they have to brake or maneuver the car in an emergency. But key word, emergency. It turns out my instructor for the most part was controlling these pedals for me. The whole 10 hours worth of lessons I had with her. So she was pretty much doing most of the driving for me. And I thought I was actually making progress, learning how to drive and all that. But in reality, I was basically playing Mario Kart. Because it felt like the only thing I was doing was steering. She never took no time to explain how a manual car even works. She would just have me drive back and forth the same few quiet roads every lesson. As you can imagine, I made as much progress as a fish trying to climb a tree. So basically none. You know what I'm saying? That's tough. Worst part of that whole fiasco was that she ended up telling me that I'd be better off finding a new instructor altogether, as she said she could see her car was a bit cramped for me and that could be why I was struggling to make progress. Which, yeah, looking in retrospect, it was a small car. But why would you tell me this after I've already paid hundreds of pounds worth of lessons? So I pretty much got played and came out of it still not anywhere near ready for a test. So it didn't take me long to find a new instructor, and after my first few lessons I actually felt like I was learning how to drive. He actually explained things well and broke down how a manual car actually works. Unlike some people. The only downside was that his lessons were so slow paced. Felt like I was getting taught by this guy. And because he was an African driving instructor as well, this guy would pull up to my house so late for the lessons, bro. I'm telling you right now that black people timing is seriously something else. But hey, at least I was actually driving this time. After quite a lot of lessons, I was slowly but surely getting the hang of driving until out of the blue, the guy had to go on holiday. He told me he wasn't going to be available for lessons for quite some time. I didn't want to have to wait for him because, as I mentioned before, I wanted my license ASAP. And I felt that taking a long hiatus from driving would just nullify all the positive momentum I was building, because I was actually starting to get the hang of it all. I was doing 1, 2, sometimes even 3 lessons per week, just for my guy to pull a Casper and ghost on me. So once more, there I was again. No instructor, no license, no hope. How was I ever gonna pass my test if I can't even find an instructor that doesn't sell me out? Because these last two literally sold the bag and shipped it off for next day delivery. Like a week or two passed by and I'm still on a search for a new driving instructor. I eventually come across this website of a driving school claiming to help you learn to drive. The website had a plethora of instructors to choose from, so I wrote down my location and it filtered everyone out, leaving a list of available instructors in my area. From the list, this one instructor caught my eye. Because his lesson prices were the cheapest, okay? I've already spent my hard-earned money on 2 different instructors. I'm trying to cut costs. But I didn't have much of a choice. I booked my first lesson with him and to my surprise, the lesson went quite well. He threw me straight into the deep end, driving on main roads, which is something I barely did with my previous 2 instructors. However, I learned quite a lot in the span of just 2 hours driving with him. And whilst I still wasn't the best at it, my confidence on the roads was definitely improving. So I continued having regular lessons with this new instructor. We're gonna call him Larry, by the way. So everything's going smoothly. I was getting much more confident driving. Yeah, I make mistakes and would get shouted at for almost causing a car crash, but it was still progress though. And not too long after that, I ended up finding a slot for my test. I continued progressing in my lessons and got much better than I previously was. Finally, the day of the test came. There I was sitting in the car about to take the test. My examiner in the passenger seat. My heart was doing a 100-meter dash because everything was riding on this. And that pun was also intended. All the money spent on lessons, all the time spent driving, it was either pass or fail. And you already know your boy's not trying to fail. So I set off on the test route and things seem to be going smoothly. I'm chopping up with the examiner, the roundabout, I breezed that, I'm doing all my road observations, I'm checking blind spots I didn't even know existed. Overall, the test seemed like it was going alright. So in my head, I'm thinking as long as nothing comes to mess me up, it's not an 100% guarantee, but I might just get my license today. So sooner or later, we eventually get to the end of the test. So I park up and I'm ready to hear my result. Thank you for parking up, lad. Okay, are you ready to hear the final outcome of your test today, Mr. Mo? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay, the final result of your test is that you've